Wednesday, March 26th, 2014, the National Labor Relations Board ruled in favor of Northwestern players as employees and can form a union. What does this mean? That means they are now official employees of the school and they can form as a union. The landscape of college athletics is in jeopardy if the NCAA does not listen to what they need and make some adjustments. College universities have been profiting off health and well-being of student athletes, and it's time to create a stipend and a benefit package for these players. This is why they're putting up the fight. This is the reason that they're causing this big ruckus, and it can change the landscape of college football astronomically. If we turn them all into employees, they can be fired, they can quit. It takes it away from the whole idea of education. And that's ultimately what college is about, in my opinion. You'll see that only 2% of students in college are student athletes. And they brought up $10.6 billion in 2013. That is an awful lot of money. And I think we would be able to afford the ability to pay them a form of stipend. There are many cases in college football and pro football of people getting hurt, having career-ending injuries, concussions, the whole 9 yards. It's a very, very dangerous sport. And while the students are playing for fun and because they love the game, there still is a massive risk involved. And when the universities are making the kind of money that they are making, they need to go ahead and pay some of these kids and give them benefits. I'm more on benefits than I am paying. But the only idea of paying that I want is I would like to pay them what a 40-hour-a-week minimum wage job would afford them. That way they can have money and they still meet their expectations between practice and education. Because if they're working 40 hours, they're practicing 40 hours, and then they're still trying to go to education, something's going to get missed. And education will be the thing that's missed. And that's not acceptable to me. You can create a fair compensation and benefit package for all student athletes. Here's my concern with this situation. We do not just want to pay the Johnny Manziels, the Calvin Johnsons, the big-time players. We need to pay every single student athlete, all 420,000 of them. Okay? There is the difference. You pay the D3 women's volleyball player as well as you play the starting quarterback for Texas A&M. That's how it needs to work. It is a fair across the board. Everybody gets the same benefit package. Everybody gets the same stipend. Everybody is ultimately happy. There are 3 things that I would like to discuss on how we can fix some of these situations. First, understand the expectations given and listen to the student athletes. Find out what they're really looking for. I guarantee you 90% of them don't want that big money. They just want to be able to make it through college and afford to have their macaroni and cheese and their trousers and their daily need stuff. So let's provide that for them. And let's talk to them and find out what they're looking for. Make sure the compensation is fair for everybody across the board. If we have parity in this aspect, it will not get rid of the boosters, which is the #1 problem that we are having. The boosters are paying all these kids to go to their certain schools, and it's just not fair to the other competing schools. So what we need to do is put everybody on the same playing field, give them all a little bit of what they want, and we will be able to make a difference. Third and finally, I'd like to make sure the health and well-being of our student athlete is the #2 priority behind education. Education is #1. Health and well-being is going to be #2. We need to make sure these kids are safe. This is the future of America. So whether it's in sports or whatever they're doing, they need to make sure that they are safe. And if they're getting hurt, we need to be compensated. They need to have the same medical attention that people do in the workforce, because ultimately they are working for the college university. Okay, so players devote 50 to 60 hours per week to football-related work during the preseason. During the regular season, football takes up 40 to 50 hours a week. Unless those revenues are being distributed among all athletes, male, female, revenue, nonprofit revenue, the system will not be entirely just. What we need to make sure that we're doing is giving everybody the same playing field and paying them the same way. If they're working 40, 50 hours a week, and then they're practicing 40, 50 hours a week, they will skip the education part. And because they play well in school, they will stop them from failing. And that's why we have all these problems. North Carolina, everywhere. So we need to make a fair system. And finally, we need medical benefits for everybody that is a student athlete. If you are considered a student athlete, you need a medical, a vision, and a dental plan. I think it should be mandatory. So there's a time for change. And the parents are going to want to pay very much attention to this, and this is why you should listen to this. Because in the future, things are going to change. Whether we like it or not, it's going to change. So what we can do now is write to our colleges, write to our congressmen, tell them, these are the future educators of the world. These are our future ambassadors of the world. We need to make sure that they're educated properly, that they are well taken care of, and that they are properly stipend for the time that they are giving to the university. The university's been taking advantage of this for way too long. Former union is only the start and can be a very slippery slope. I'm very happy that they formed the union, but it's not enough yet, and it's not accomplishing the goals that we need. The NCAA has relished in this status for way too long. It is now time to protect our student athletes and focus our universities around education instead of money. This is a pivotal time in college athletics, and the outcomes can change the landscape forever. Thank you for listening, and please do your part.